Today I'm going to show you how to crochet a teether. These are great for in the NICU. The little spirals help the preemies from pulling out their cords and tubes and not messing with their lines, and makes them feel safe and comfortable. So this is a quick, easy alternative to some of the Octos that you may see in the NICU. To make one of these teethers, you're going to need some worsted weight cotton yarn, and I'm using I Love This Cotton from Hobby Lobby. You'll need a wooden teether. I found these on Amazon. I read a lot about how to clean these, and it says just, soap and water and let it dry in the sun, but I also don't see any reason why you can't just toss this in the washing machine in a garment bag and wash it on hot. Some scissors, a yarn needle, and I'm going to use an E 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. Start out by making your slip knot. Sorry, my dog's barking in the background. Chain 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Single crochet in the second chain from the hook, so not the first but the second, and single crochet in each chain across. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chain 1, turn, and you're going to single crochet in each stitch across. You should end up with 8 stitches. So the first stitch will go in the same stitch as the chain 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one can be a little tricky to get in. There's 8. Chain 1 and turn. And you're going to repeat this till we get a strap long enough to go around. So go ahead and keep single crocheting, and I will meet you at the next step. So 10 rows seem to be a good amount for me. You can add a couple of rows or take away rows depending on your gauge, but what you want is to slip your ring through the middle here and make sure that your fabric is touching so you have room to single crochet this together. So for me that was 10 rows, but you may need to add or subtract some rows if you need to. So I just finished my 10th row. I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. And I'm going to take my teething ring and loop this together. Make sure you get these stitches lined up. And you're going to single crochet this together. So go in through your first stitch and then through the other side. make a single crochet. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one for 8. Oops. And chain 1 and turn. And just single crochet a row across. And I'm going to single crochet over top of my tail so I don't have to weave it in later. Okay. At the end of this row, instead of chaining 1 and turning, we're going to chain 35. So I've got my chain of 35 coming out from the ring. Next, you're going to place 3 single crochets in each chain, starting with the second chain from the hook. So here's the chain on the hook, here's the first chain. We're going to put 3 single crochets in each of these chains, and that is what will cause these little spirals to start forming. So single crochet, 1, 2, 3. Then 3 again in the next chain. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You can see it's starting to curl. So just make sure you don't twist your chain, that you keep your chain flat, and do 3 single crochets in each one of these chains, and I will meet you when we get back up to the top. I have 1 chain left before we get to the base here. So I'm going to insert my 3 single crochets in this last chain. 1, 2, and 3. Now we never turned our work, so we are gonna flip the ring and you're gonna single crochet into the next stitch. Single crochet in the next stitch and chain 35. Chains, and just like our first little tentacle, we're going to place 3 single crochets in each chain, starting from the second chain on the hook. One, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And again, make sure you don't get your chain twisted. Make sure it stays flat so that your spirals will be formed uniformly. Is that a word? So just make sure you don't flip that chain. And I will meet you up at the top. I'm at the end of my row of chains. So I just finished placing my last 3 single crochets in that chain. Next, I'm going to single crochet into the next stitch. And then single crochet again in the next stitch. And repeat the same process. You're going to chain 35 and place 3 single crochets in each of the chains. All right, so there's my 35. Better look there. So same thing, 3 single crochets in each chain all the way up, starting with the second chain from the hook. So right in here, 1, 2, 3. So go ahead and place your 3 single crochets in each chain, and I will meet you at the top. Right, I'm at the end of the row for the 3rd tentacle. So again, you're going to single crochet into the next stitch to secure that tentacle down, and then single crochet in the next stitch, and you guessed it, chain 35. All right, I've got my 35 chains, and just like you have on the previous tentacles, 3 single crochets in each chain all the way up to the top here, starting with the second chain from the hook. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you when we get back to the end of the row. All right, I'm back up at the top, and you should have 1 single crochet left. Single crochet in that last stitch. And you're done. And I'm gonna go back in the same stitch and do a slip stitch to finish off. Then chain 1. Leave a long enough tail that you can weave that in pull out your hook, tighten that to secure. You can kind of play around with these a little bit to get them to lay the way you want them to. But that is it. Easy. Going to trim this end that I already crocheted over. So that'll go hide in there. And then weave in this end. So just find a good spot to go into. You know what, I think I'm gonna come down here. I go back and forth 1, 2, 3 times to make sure it's nice and secure, and just grab different parts and different fibers when you go through to make sure that your end stays in place and doesn't come back out. Good. So there is your NICU preemie toy or newborn toy. So the idea is that these spirals remind the babies of their umbilical cord, so they have something to grab onto rather than pulling out feeding tubes, central lines, whatever other wires they've got hooked up to them. And it's just comforting. I mean, if you sit there and play with this, I'm telling you, it's relaxing. So these spirals, they're calming. So great for babies and newborns. But of course, if your baby is home and not hooked up to monitors, make sure that you are supervising them when they are playing with their Octo teethers. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you liked it, then go ahead and like the video. And if you want to learn more about crocheting for preemies, then hit subscribe. And I'll see you next time.